This is the rest of Chapter 10, which explains the short run supply curve. We're still in the short run for the pure competitor. And it might help if you print out the notes on Chapter 10 that are in course documents before we go over these PowerPoint slides. Anyway, so as long as price exceeds minimum average variable cost, then production will take place. There will be a supply, and the firm will continue to produce using the marginal revenue equal marginal cost rule. Marginal revenue must be greater than or equal to marginal cost, and marginal revenue must cover average variable cost. And of course, marginal revenue equals price for the pure competitor. So let's take a look at the rest of this supply schedule. This is in your book. We have already figured the quantity supplied if the price was $131, if the price had been $81 and it's $71, and we had figured the profit loss or loss at each one of those particular prices. But to round out the supply curve, we need to look at a couple more prices, and these are ones that were not covered previously. So let's take a look at $151 if the price is $151. Now, we're going to compare that 151. We're going back to this data. We see that if the price is 151, we're going to compare that to column number 5, marginal cost. 151 is closest to the marginal cost of 150, but it's still greater than 150. And we could easily cover the average variable cost in column 3 of $93 if the price were 151. So to determine economic profit, we know at $151, we would produce 10 units. And to determine the economic profit, we would take the 151 minus 103, average total cost, times a quantity of 10, and that would be $480. So let's flip back over to that data on the short run supply curve. And we see that, yes, at $151, we would supply 10 and would have an economic profit of $480. Another price that was not figured previously, at what if the price is $111? And they're just throwing prices out here. What if this was the price that the market determined? Again, we're going to compare that $111 back to the marginal cost data, which is in column 5 again. So if we're looking to see if we would produce at $111, you see that 111 is greater than 110 at 8 units. And if $111 would easily cover that average variable cost of $81.25, so we know we would produce. So to get the profit, we would take the price of 111 minus 93.75, and that equals $17.25, and then we'd multiply that times 8, and that would get $138 of profit. Actually, I think I might have made a mistake on the profit on a 131. It would be 480, not 280. But let's go back to that data again and see here that at 111 we would produce 8 and the profit would be $138. So we've kind of figured the rest of those prices. That means that at each price there would be a certain quantity supplied as long as we could cover the average variable cost. So let's look at what the marginal cost curve looks like. It is this blue line above average variable cost, because we know we're going to shut down if we can't cover the average variable cost. And of course, that doesn't mean forever. It could be just for a period of time, like tropical snow closes in the winter. There are in certain college towns in the summer, some businesses may close until the students come back, or the bookstore might cut back their hours, or we're in a coronavirus pandemic right now, and the auto companies have cut back on shifts. We know they're not closing down forever. They'll be back. but it is just a short run shutdown if they can't cover those average variable costs. So this is an important slide. Should the firm produce? Yes. If the price is equal to or greater than minimum average variable cost, and the firm is either profitable or its losses are less than fixed costs, because we want to go ahead and produce if we can contribute something and not lose the total fixed cost, which we have in the short run, whether we're producing or not. So what quantity should this firm produce? The produce where marginal revenue, which is price, is greater than or equal to marginal cost. Profit is maximized. So total revenue would exceed total cost by the maximum amount, or the loss is minimized. Will production end in an economic profit? Yes, if price is greater than average total cost. No, if average total cost exceeds the price. So what if we are looking at the market demand and supply? Column 1 shows us that quantity supplied for that single firm, that single farm. And what if there are 1,000 firms? So we'll just multiply 10 times 1,000, which equals 10,000. 9 times 1,000 equals 9,000, and so on. So if we have the quantity supplied for all of these firms, and we know that quantity supplied at higher prices, businesses are willing to supply more than at lower prices, law of supply. But what if we're given in column 4, quantity demanded? We know that that has an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. At $151, only 4,000 in the market would be demanded. At $131, 6,000 would be the quantity demanded, because as price goes down, there's an increase in quantity demanded. So to determine from this chart what the equilibrium price would be, we can see that it's $111, because that's where quantity supplied equals quantity demanded. So this would be the market price. And we have already figured that at $111, this industry would be profitable. And there'd be profits to be made. And that means that there would be firms willing to enter this industry. So let's look at these graphs with the single firm. Again, the supply is the upward sloping portion of the marginal cost curve above average variable cost. That's very important. And then if we look at the industry, what we have found is that the supply and demand, the point where they meet, is $111 at a quantity of 8,000. So that $111 would be the price charged by the individual firm, which is on the left, and this industry would be profitable. But if it's profitable, what we're going to see in the long run is that firms would be willing to enter that industry, and that's going to push profits down somewhat. So again, shutting down in the short run does not mean shutting down forever. Low prices might be temporary. There could be a recession and businesses cut back on shifts, or they can add a shift if the economy is growing well. Some firms do switch production on and off. Oil producers, some may not be producing right now in March of 2020 because prices are down so low. It just may not be profitable to produce right now. So they're probably shutting some wells. Resorts are closed down certainly now in this coronavirus pandemic, but ski resorts also closed down during the summer, some of them. And then, of course, firms do shut down during a recession or an economic slowdown. So again, this is the short run, fixed plant size, but in the short run, you always have fixed cost, even if you're producing zero. The next chapter, we're going to look at the long run, pure competition, where there's a period of time for business to enter the industry or to get out of the industry if it's not profitable. So.